Good morning from Caledonia State Park. We were just dropped off by Barry from Trail of Hope Hostel and had a great stay there. I mean, that place, I don't know, had some kind of iffy comments on gut hooks about it, and I wasn't sure about staying there, but anyway, when I got there, yeah, I couldn't have felt more welcome. I mean, what a great place. Everything I needed, enjoyed our rest. Yeah, I have no complaints for $12 a night. That's better than any hotel room I could have got. So had a great conversation this morning with Junker, and he's the owner of the hostel, I guess former owner. I guess they just sold it, closed on it recently, which is kind of unfortunate. Hopefully the new owners will keep it the same way. But yeah, Junker walked in with a Rusty shirt on this morning, and I said, I haven't seen one of those in years. And he's like, oh, well, you've been around for a while. And I was like, yes, I have. It was actually one of the newer Rusty shirts, one of the yellow ones, as opposed to the old gray ones. But that was the last run of shirts that Rusty did. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Rusty's Hard Time Hollow was an iconic yet controversial place to stay on the AT. And yeah, if you know about Rusty's, you've been around for a while. But yeah, what a great stay. Cool talking to you, Junker. And we're back on trail. 58 to Harper's Ferry. We're gonna see how much of that we can do today. It's Tuesday, and it looks like we got some kind of weird reload going on here. That's the white blaze pointing that way. I've got some kind of detour maybe? I don't know what's going on here. Let's see. Okay, so this section of the AT is closed, so I guess the detour is the official route. Turn right and follow trolley trail. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's marked with flags or something, because I'm not going to remember this. I better take a picture. Okay, so there is a white blaze here, so apparently that little section of trail's been closed for a while. Unless they flooded out, I have no idea. Anyway, we're back on track and headed south. So for those of you who don't know, I mentioned earlier on in one of the first couple videos in this series that I was doing this section without trekking poles, and I think I've touched on it once since then, and that was before we even went through Lehigh Gap, which is arguably the most strenuous part of Pennsylvania, probably the most difficult climb or descent, whatever the case may be. But at this point in time, with less than 60 miles to go into our trip, I'd have to say I don't miss them, not in the least bit. There was one time where I fell, and I didn't really fall, I just sort of tripped and landed on my hands, and it was on a trail kind of like this one. I just hit some small rock and kind of stubbed my toe and went forward. But other than that, other than using my hands on purpose for balance or to grab onto things, I haven't missed the trekking poles at all. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of glad I don't have them, because the last trip through Virginia, I was constantly putting them under my arm so I could be hands-free. And I started thinking on that trip, well, if I need to be hands-free this frequently, what do I really need the trekking poles for? And the only good answer I could come up with was to pitch my tarp. And if you watch Evan's backpacking videos at all, I mean, you know that it's quite possible to not have trekking poles and still use a tarp. Carrying sticks with you or using trees, what have you. It's quite possible to go without trekking poles, so figured I'd give it a try on this trip, and I may be converted. I mean, right now I have two hands on the phone. I can control it fairly well. And I have plenty of balance with just my legs. So yeah, were there any parts where I wished I had them? I don't think so, no. In those technical areas, I like using my hands more than I like using trekking poles anyway. So that's, unless something changes in the next 4 days, that's my opinion on that for now. I'll probably be going poleless a lot in the future. Okay, so we walked up on this big, it almost looks like a rock wall, but they're just huge boulders. And this is really cool. The trail comes up this staircase here. And you probably won't see much stuff like this in northern PA. There's not a lot of rock work through the boulder fields, at least nothing apparent, like staircases and walkways and that sort of thing. I mean, there may have been hundreds of thousands of boulders moved, but don't see a lot of rock work. At least I'm noticing a lot of it down here in southern PA. And I've done a bit of rock work myself. I've built some staircases and some trail, and I can appreciate the amount of work that goes into rock staircases. I mean, it is a huge, huge effort. And it's like putting a puzzle together, finding the right rocks. But very satisfying when you're finished. And thanks to all of those people on all of the trails who do rock work. You have my sincere thanks. It was quite the climb. Very abrupt. You're cruising down this nice chill trail and then all of a sudden, bam! Start climbing some rock staircase. Okay, so we're going through a rock maze here, but this is kind of a fun one. These rocks here aren't quite as pointy and sharp. Seems like the edges are rounded, but you know, look at this. What is this? I mean, did somebody put those rocks up there, or did they just like appear there one day? I mean, how in the world, you know, was there a volcanic eruption and then the earth just started spitting out rocks? I mean, this is just amazing. How did they get here? Let's hear what your theories are. Yeah, this is, it almost looks like it was built by human hand. So this is kind of an interesting area, looking back at where we just came from. And there's a trail log over there. And we haven't seen this in quite a while, this ground cover that we were seeing so much in the Port Clinton area. It is down here, but it seems to just kind of stop, which is kind of cool in some ways. There's just kind of an edge of it, almost like it was landscaped that way. And then we just go back into regular old mulchy forest. We should be at the state park anytime. I forget the name of it. I'll put it on the screen during the edit. Okay, so we've arrived. And this looks really nice. Apparently the spigot is supposed to be on the trail. It says spring. But there's supposed to be potable water coming from a pump somewhere, so we're looking for that. I was looking up at this when I should have been looking down at this. So yeah, we're going to fill up and maybe sit at one of these picnic tables and hang out for a few. It's break time. Yeah, and this is a pretty nice place. There's a nice green lawn behind me, shady trees above us. There's a picnic pavilion right across the way there. A little kiosk with a map on it. Looks like a decent privy. And another picnic pavilion beyond that. So all the amenities. We're going to get a little snack here. Maybe even cook something. There's plenty of water. There's that spigot that's back there that I showed you. So we have some wheat thins and some squeezed cheese. Shout out to you, Carlton. This is kind of old school, actually. If any of you have hiked in the 80s, you probably have seen this in somebody's food bag. This was kind of a staple, like squeezed parquet. You saw a lot of this, and it's heavy, but there's a trash can right across from me, so I think I'm gonna down as much of this yellow number 5 viscous concoction that I can, and get rid of this heavy can. So yeah, we're gonna enjoy this park while we can, and continue south. So that was a nice spot. Great place to take a break. And I think there's a storm headed our way. We're certainly going to find out. Big old cloud on the radar. I think it's 2.7 to Deer Lick shelter. We've come about 10.6, 10.8, something like that so far. And we have plenty of water. We've just had something to eat, and we're well hydrated. So we may just walk until we find a decent campsite and set up the tent. It could start raining before that happens, but that's the way it goes. It's part of the adventure. If everything was all planned out, I don't think it would be quite as much fun. At least not for me. So we're less than a mile from Deer Lick shelters. I think there's 2 of them. And we're gonna look for a campsite somewhere around there, I think. We have plenty of water. We could camp anywhere. I did talk to a couple of people walking north, and they said there wasn't any campsites until there aren't any campsites until you hit a spring that's near a road. And I looked, checked that out, and that's about a little bit further, I think, than we want to go today. And we probably don't want to camp near a road either. Okay, here we are. Looks like a nice flowing water source. Well, I think this is going to be home for the night, somewhere around this area here. A fire pit if we want one. I don't know if we'll bother with all that. Not a lot of wood around here anyway. So we're going to get set up, enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll get back at it again tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be our last day in PA, and we'll be hitting the Maryland border.